Shalom, praise to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem Harakal Kadash. Double on the elder apostles, a great millstone that rule well. And Shalom to the prophets doing the work of certain truth. Um, just wanted to touch on a few scriptures, just to kind of meditate on, this knowledge that we've got. It's really something that isn't, known wholesale, and really just meditating on that as far as it comes to the prophecies, because it's funny. Especially when you go to what we're seeing come to life, especially the mark that see it. That's something that's been spoken of for the longest, like not a laughable amount of time. And then you go back to like when it was first being spoken about, it was like, nah, it ain't gonna happen. But now that it's being seen, then it's switched up to, nah, that's not what it is. And this is something that is being there's various people that kind of come up to the camp where they'll recognize what the chip is, but obviously they're that's something that you need your eyes to be open to it, really. The Lord's kind of got blinders on for certain people, because why? Their job is to receive that, to get marked for destruction, and to get cooked with this place, with America. When America gets laced with missiles, when these different spots get laced with missiles, man, their job is basically, to go down and taste that second death, especially like Jake. So I read this, Isaiah 16:1. It says, "Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord Jehovah is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people." Yeah, darkness cover the earth, gross darkness the people. That's a state. And that's something that now, even up to the last days, that's still very much a state, very much an expectation on the people you got walking around, to where, we're seeing the rumblings of World War III. People in the world are talking about World War III. We always kind of harp on Neuralink as the key kind of company putting that chip technology together, but then really is something that various of these different companies, they're all fucking getting down with it. There's countless companies where they're already jamming them into people's heads, and it's not really it's not really a mystery as far as to that happening. But then they move the goalposts to where, oh, it's not, okay, it's not gonna happen. It's just that's not it. That's not. But then that's the gross darkness. That's the blinding. They're in the middle of like a sandstorm, or a forest at 2 a.m. In the depths of a forest at 2 a.m. where they don't know what the fuck, they can't see shit. But the Lord Jehovah shall rise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. And yeah, you have, a select number where they're gonna have that wisdom, rise upon them. They're basically gonna be made an example to kind of look at as far as understanding, wisdom and knowledge being the stability of thy times, because you have a huge, you have a huge gap between those that have to understand and those that don't, and that's why it's, these things happen. Prophecy getting passed. The thing is, in general, the state of the world, as people are seeing and understanding it, they're like, yo, what the fuck's going on? This seems weird. This is absurd. It's unnerving how much, crises there are, how the economy's fucked, how, what seemed like a normal lifestyle's kind of gone. Because why? Those are things that now you kind of look at, and it's just like, the being in that sleep state, it doesn't really seem to be to your benefit. Proverbs 1 and 2, to know start from 3. So, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice and judgment and equity, to give subtlety to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. And yeah, a wise man will hear and increase learning. That's something that is a big gap. You have people where they've basically got a spiritual block put on them, and mainly dealing with Jake, because as far as where those that can receive the wisdom, it's going to be among Jake. And then what you have people where that block's been put on, man. There's hella these Jake where the block's been put on, where you'll kind of you can break things down to them, you can mention things, and then you can see there's a gap. There's a fucking force field around their brain that's not letting that wisdom hit. Because why? Their job is not to receive the understanding. Or you could have those where it might be at a certain time it'll kind of hit, and then they'll kind of get these things. You got the 11th hour, but then you do have it's as far as with that wisdom, that's something you're meant to receive. And then you have teachers as far as that. What does it say? A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels, to understand a proverb and the interpretation, the words of the wise and their dark sayings. And their dark sayings. That's the thing is with this wisdom, the nature of it isn't something that's bubbly, positive. You just come out, wow, cool. Big, hopeful eyes. That's not really. It's not a Disney movie. It's not a Hollywood blockbuster where you're just gonna it's like, oh, it's that big uplifting ending. It's something where there's a lot of aspects of it that it's harsh. It's raw. It's real, man. And that's what a lot of people don't want to have to engage with, or they can't. They're kind of just like, it might be a bit too much. They're kind of like, what? So their brain just the screws start to come loose, and then they're just like, no, I have to, oh wait, so the world's in that kind of a state, and even people know they're doing a free will. That's something that fucks them up. Because why? They're especially within this civilization, within Esau's rule, he's basically got the mindset of how giving people the mindset of, you have some kind of sway or influence over your own destiny, goals, place in life. But then let's say a wise man will hear and will increase like, yeah. But then you find out the reality of life is there's some rawness there that can be too much. They don't want to engage, and that's a big part of the allure of Esau's side, the do as thou wilt spirit. You can indulge, man. You can engage in what you want. But then this is a key thing. The fear of the Lord Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. Yeah, fear of the Lord. That's the key thing. That's core. That's central. That's necessary. If you don't fear the Lord, you're not going to be able to receive understanding. And then that's why you have a lot of guys where, even especially you can go to examples like Alizé, where they put on the act, put on a show for a while, where they pretend like they have that fear, but then there'll be certain actions where you just know that, nah, this guy doesn't have that fear, because they'll pursue actions where you're just like, what the fuck's going on with this guy? We read this, Ecclesiasticus 6 and 32. It says, what, my son, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught, and if thou wilt apply thy mind, thou shalt be prudent. If thou love to hear, thou shalt receive understanding, and if thou bow thine ear, thou shalt be wise. Yeah, so it's a give and take, and really it's something where it's a gift you've got to receive, but then you've also got to have the willingness to do so. Because why? You have those where they've basically been deafened, they've been blinded to this thing where it can be offered to them. They can pass by a camp, they could be chopping it up with a brother, but then what? The block's been put on them, so they can't get. And that's the raw reality. That's part of the raw realities. These are things that make people like, no, it just kind of, vomit might start coming up in their throat. They might start, getting stiff necked, because why? It's, as far as their view of the world, it doesn't compute. And then especially if they like this place, man. The people that like this place, you trying to break it down to them, it's raw. There might be, he might have just had the shittest month of his life at work. His woman could have fucked him over. He could, his team could have lost at the football. But then he's still gonna ride out for this place. Because why? Because he's just invested, man. You have a lot of people that are like that. What does it say? Stand in the multitude of the elders and cleave unto him that is wise. Be willing to hear every godly discourse, and let not the parables of understanding escape thee. Yeah. So what? Stand in the multitude of the elders. That's a big part of it. You need to have the correct teachers. And a lot of what people go to, they're gonna go to Esau. You go into Esau, it's a wrap. Them guys are elders in wickedness in Esau's realm, man. All these institutions Esau set up is to, forward and fully immerse people within his dynamics, his mindset, his systems. And that's really what people get down with. As far as for them, they're looking at like, that's kind of sweet. But the truth and reality of it is they're getting it completely in the left-hand side, which, that's their wrong. What's about spiritual wickedness in high places. And then the error that proceeded from the ruler, as far as how the elite rule, how they conduct themselves, those are things that leak down into general society. Everyone's all upset about Epstein, because why? That's an angle, a dynamic, an aspect of society that it's been spoken about, but they've not had to engage with it. They've not had to deal with the realities of those things. Now it's you're realizing that there's a veil. There's a veil. There's a what you call a gap put between, those are a part of the those structures within the rulership. However far down they are, and the average P or nobody. You thought, these justice systems and these all kinds of orders and governmental systems were to your benefit. But now you're finding out, actually, they can do whatever the fuck they want to do. And they always have been able to, and they have been exercising that. It says what? And if thou seest a man of understanding, get thee betimes unto him, and let thy foot wear the steps of his door. Let thy mind be upon the ordinances of the Lord, and meditate continually in his commandments. He shall establish thine heart, and give thee wisdom at thine own desire. Yeah. That's the thing. It's like with that understanding, it's you have to be out there looking for it. And that's how a lot of brothers come into this truth, man. Where kind of out there looking like, what's you're trying to be like, okay, so what, what's really going on this planet Earth, man? What am I really doing here? What's really going on? And then that's something that, in pursuit of that, if you're of the elect, then you'll get drawn into the truth, man. 2 Timothy 3:1 says, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers. Yeah, in the last days, perilous days will come. And then what? Men are going to be lovers of their own selves. And that's the time of the end, man. That fear of the Most High is basically going to be completely far away. That's the thing is among Jake, you got those that aren't of the elect, man. The job of those that aren't of the elect is to get cooked and decimated in that second death. There's a huge contingent of Jake that need to get decimated in the second death. So that, as far as for them, there's no means by which understanding can come to them. And then within this society now, you already know you have that big gap as far as with that ignorant so-called black culture, where you have these, you know, vile, vile vessels of wickedness, man, amongst Jake. And that's a big aspect of how Esau's trying to justify himself to the Most High. He's trying to, sending up them prayers daily against Israel, saying, look, this is what your people are getting up to. But then this is a thing about the elect. And that's something, being of the elect, that's something Esau can't have. But then what these, that wisdom's required, man, for you to even understand and get these things. Which is why it's there'll always be that gap, man. Even though, and the thing is these things can be seen, they can be observed. You can line up with the scriptures, but it's evident. It's not for them, man. Boasters, proud blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fears, despisers of those that are good. And these are all the things that now, being in those dynamics, that's to your benefit. That's how you get ahead. You got to be willing to, be cutthroat and climb over any and whoever, do whatever act needs to be done to receive that fame, success, money, good life, so-called, as they call it. Traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of the Most High, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. Yeah, they might even have one or two things that they say that you kind of be, okay, that's kind of on point. But then, the fullness of it will be the way they're conducting themselves. They're just a denizen of Esau's realm. And that's really the reality of a lot of what it comes down to. Even guys that know they're Israelites, that refer to themselves as Israelites, they're still just conducting themselves as Babylonians, as Greeks, as Americans, Brits, whatever, or egomaniacs, man. Let's say Daniel 12:1, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to the time of the end. Time even to the wait. Such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time, and at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that should be found written in the book. So yeah, that clarification, those that are written in the book among the nation will be delivered. And that's contrary to prior deliverances, where you had the first after flood, where it was just, Noah and his family. But then, Moses said he wasn't going to flood the whole world, he wasn't going to take everyone out. So, you had the deliverance from Egypt, but then even then you had, wicked ass Jakes. Out of the whole generation that came out, it was just what? Joshua and Caleb, man, that made it. And then you have just Joshua and Caleb that made it. And then what? Out of Egypt, you had. But then you get to what do you call it? This coming judgment. It's just gonna be the elect. It's just gonna be 144,000 and 1/3, man. They're gonna make it. And that's because why? That's that same, number. That same when Elijah was saying, it's only me left. And he said, what, I've got 7,000 do not bow the knee to Baal. And that 7,000 is a complete number, which is what, 144,000 and 1/3, man. They're not gonna bow the knee. They're not gonna take, that mark. They're not gonna engage, give themselves over to the system, really. Completely graft themselves onto the image of the beast. Because why? They're gonna hold and have faith in Yahweh Shai. What? Yahweh Shai. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book, and many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. And yeah, so there's that harsh line between those that conduct themselves as the righteous, as with it, that hold to the instructions they're given, and cleave to Yahweh Shai. And then those that don't, it's Revelation gives you a clear breakdowns on all kinds of judgments that will take place, especially for those that receive that mark. It says what but thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. So yeah, the words were shut and the book was sealed until the time of the end. And that's the thing is now in that time of the end, the books have been opened, but then it's not just for everyone. Someone can come up, you can break things down to them, and then that you're dealing with, we're saying, adamant hardened the flint, man. You're trying to chisel off a fucking reinforced adamantium 17-meter thick wall, with a fucking a rock flint to try and chip away at that, man. There's no hope. There's no means by which you can gain access. Because why? It's something spiritual. The spirit need that spirit to sup with them for them to receive it. And a lot of people, that spirit is not dealing with them at all. The Holy Spirit is not dealing with them in the slightest. Their job is to be to be confused, to be off in the world, engaged, to be a Babylonian, a Greek, a Roman, an American, a Spaniard, a Frenchman, a Brit, and then not and then die in their confusion. Because why? That full understanding it just ain't there, man. Not for them, at least. Finish on this. 1 Corinthians 2 and 6, it says, howbeit we speak wisdom among them that are perfect, yet not the wisdom of this world, nor of the princes of this world that come to naught. But we speak the wisdom of the Most High in a mystery, even a hidden wisdom which the Most High ordained before the world unto our glory. And yeah, that's really the fullness of it. This is a hidden wisdom. It's not something that's plain and open to everyone. Thing is, it is plain. It's just not open to everyone. As far as like when you have to understand the Spirit's working with you, then you read the scripture, see what's happening. You're like, damn, that's so straightforward. How could anyone not get? You're breaking down. It's like, how in the fuck are these people in the land fulfilling anything? But then to even get that you really gotta have the Spirit dealing with you, man. Because there's people, it's like, oh, they're just thinking like, well, but they call themselves that, so that's how could it, a simpleton. Meanwhile, the current discourse is saying, oh, you're not American just if you're born in America, or if you've gone and lived there, or if you moved there, or whatever. Same for England, saying, oh, saying like, oh, just because you're born there, don't mean you're British. If you don't do X, Y, Z, that's a modern day discourse, a current year discourse that's happening. Meanwhile, they'll just say like, oh, but it said, that's what they're called. That's just them, innit? You know, obviously talking about Amalek, talking about the people in the land. But then, the when you go into you think, where's that name even come from? There's there's a nation called Israel. It's like, where's that word come from? Oh, it's from the Bible. Okay, you go into the Bible. First gonna take the historical, legal, and spiritual text of that nation. I wonder if it will give us any understanding on them. When people go around and dig up these fucking civilizations everywhere, excavate things and exhume and research and put these things together, they're trying to gain an understanding. So as far as with that, that's the scriptures, is that for the nation of Israel. So how is it that when you're going into it, all the details don't line up with the people in the land now? But then it's just that's DNA. Where's DNA in the scriptures, bro? But that's it's something where it needs to be opened up. Because they're a huge linchpin of prophecy in the time of the end, man. It says what which none of the princes of this world knew, for they had they known it, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. Yeah. And even those that cheered on, that called for it. But then even then, it's something that needed to go down regardless. There was intentionality to how it all came together. Because why? Now, if not the state that Israel would be in now, those of the elect would be in now, there would be no channel, there would be no means. Especially what we're completely discontinued from our heritage. Like as soon as you came under the law, the first covenant, and you missed that first what's it called? Shabbat even. Or even dietary law, there's all kinds of laws you could have done to where you weren't conducting yourself to where salvation was even an option, and then you're fucked. You have to be okay. Well, start again. Even though you don't even know you're Israelite and you're fucking cooked. But that's why Yahushua was needed. It was necessary for one to die, so that the whole nation might be saved, man. That was Caiaphas prophesied. It says, but as it was written, I have not seen nor ear heard, neither entered into the heart of man the things which the Most High prepared for them that love him. But the Most High have revealed them unto us by his Spirit. For the Spirit searcheth all things, yea, the deep things of the Most High. For what man knoweth the things of a man, save the spirit of a man which is in him? Even so the things of the Most High knoweth no man, but the Spirit of the Most High. Now we have received not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit which is of the Most High, that we might know the things that are freely given to us of the Most High. Which things also we speak not in the words which man's wisdom teacheth, but which the Holy Spirit teacheth, comparing spiritual things with spiritual. And we've basically been ripped out of this carnal realm, and then through the washing of the word, man, just been given over to understand these things as spiritual, to be given a capability of engaging with these things in the correct dynamic, man. Because when you're bogged down by the flesh, you're gonna get carnal, and those points of contention. Like grape would be one of those where the flesh, that carnality, could just be no, no, just start resisting it. But the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of the Most High, for they are foolishness unto him, neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. But he that is spiritual judgeth all things, yet he himself is judged of no man. And if you're not in that spiritual mindset, you're cooked. Because as far as to get, an understanding, you got reading it, you're not getting it, or you're gonna be thinking, okay, well that's talking about that, and you need the teachers. You go to the wrong teachers, it's a wrap. And then even then, it's like the Lord can have you find the correct teachers, but then for a lot of these people, it's impossible task. It's not gonna happen. Yeah. That's about it, man. Shalom. Shalom.